For the next 25 minutes remaining, I'm going to provide a high-level introduction, or for many and most of you, a reintroduction to some of the tools that we offer that tie in nicely to the Infor ERP and WMS offerings. And one of the things, we're in the transportation management, freight management space, and unlike other large providers, a couple things that differentiate us are: A, we're not a broker. We don't manage freight for our clients. We help them negotiate freight, and our tools help them analyze and evaluate their freight spend, but we do not hold contracts with the carriers. That is a direct responsibility of our customers. And the other differentiator is that our tools are modular. These bullet points list the most popular products that we offer. We are an Infor Solution Provider, which means that most of the tools that you see here and others that you might not see here are in the Infor catalog. So if you were to purchase them, they would be on Infor paper on the Infor order forms. I'm going to concentrate initially on our CalcRate flagship product, but our technology comes in a lot of different flavors. We have iSeries legacy-based products. We have cloud-hosted solutions, so it doesn't matter what platform you might be running. And for those of you, and hopefully everybody here is an Infor user, our product has the same look and feel as Infor because we've adopted their PowerLink technology, or I should say their IDF, so that our tools look similar whether you're in PowerLink or in NetLink. As an example, here is a PowerLink screen where you have your normal, in this case, XA tabs, and below them you see a number of ARTC modules that have that same look and feel. So CalcRate is our flagship product. CalcRate has built-in connectivity to interface with these 4 areas of an ERP solution: order entry, shipping, invoicing your customer, and ultimately closing the loop and accounts payable. I'm going to demonstrate a typical flow of an ERP, whether it's XA, LX, whatever the flavor might be of Infor product that you have. From a high level, you take orders. Ultimately, you generate confirmation of that order to the warehouse floor for them to manufacture it, pick it, stage it, whereupon they can ship it, invoice their customer for the product that they purchased, which may or may not include a freight add-on, and ultimately pay the carrier for the services that they provided. Again, this is a very high-level flow chart, which should represent the order flow in a typical scenario. Lots of sub-processes that are very important that are not shown. Credit checks, accounts receivable, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm going to tie in with the main functions of your order flow with the main functions of a TMS. In this case, a rate engine complete with all your carrier's freight rates: Parcel, LTL, full truckload, domestic, international, outbound, inbound, and a whole bunch of information regarding the characteristics of the carriers for you as a shipper or a receiver. In addition to the actual rates, the tool can also store rules, so that if you are adding freight as a separate line item, you can determine what that freight add-on to your actual cost might be, or your freight reduction to the actual cost. So that's all stored in the database. And as you see the dotted lines between the ERP and the database, you'll see some out-of-the-box integration, mature capability that's been around a long time, which allow your customer service agents to rate shop, your customers to go into your catalog to rate shop, the system to recommend carriers based upon your rules, which might include rules that you've defined in our routing tables as opposed to in your customer master file. Like, do you have specific carriers that you want to handle certain geographical areas, or do you have certain preferences or exclusions that your customer has defined? So the system can be configured to recommend the carrier so that it prints on your pick ticket, and to access the freight rates so that you can quote freight rates and plan to determine which carrier you may want to utilize. And then that is what we call the planning section of the tool, because at some point in time now, you have people who have to execute that plan who are sitting in your warehouse. And those people will, this is an example of rate shopping, by the way, but those people in the warehouse will ultimately ship the shipment, load the shipment, contact the carrier, potentially. You might have a drop trailer there. And if you are like most companies, what you end up executing, in other words, what you end up placing on the truck, oftentimes may not match what your plan was for a variety of reasons. And because of that, we're storing what we plan to do. But when the shipment actually goes out the door, the rate engine is reconnected to say, hey, this is what went out the door. And at that point in time, we calculate what your liability is to the carrier. And if applicable, we calculate what you need, what your freight and handling is for your customer on that shipment. Both of those amounts go back directly into the ERP and are stored, where you can compare against the plan that we described earlier. But your invoice, if there are no changes, can be automatically generated with that freight and handling. And your freight expense can be debited accordingly with the expected amount down to the penny that we anticipate paying the carrier. In addition, we store all of that data in a file. And that file will later be used for our payables department to reconcile the payment to the carrier. We'll talk about that in a minute. What I'd like to do is to demonstrate in a NetLink presentation exactly what that process looks like. So hopefully everybody can see my screen now, and this is the NetLink version of the tool. Order entry, an order is entered, and you can see a hotkey exists whereby we will show freight rates. You'll notice the columns, you've got actual freight amount and billable freight amount, and they don't have to equal one another. You can determine what your rules are on a carrier by carrier basis. You also will note, if I can go back a second, that the rates that are shown include both, let me go back a little bit, include both parcel and non-parcel. In our system, every parcel level of service is considered a different option for shipping. And you can use this and select the carrier again, or you can have the system automatically selected for you. Another key feature of our integration is we store at the customer level accessorial defaults. Accessorials are those special services that carriers may charge that are really important to capture because they have fees associated with them. And if you're going to accrue your freight properly or bill your customer, or even get the proper carrier to provide the appropriate services, knowing these in advance is really important. And you can see in this particular example, here's a list of all of our extra services that might apply, and one of them is defaulted for this customer, which was stored in the database, and we can change them on a case-by-case basis. And then if we rate shop again, any cost associated with adding those additional required services is considered in that freight amount. So if you were taking great pain to review what the freight costs were before I changed the special services, you would see that some of those carriers changed. Ultimately, as I mentioned, after this carrier has been assigned to the picker, which you'll see right here, to the order, that goes down to the warehouse floor as a picker, whether it's on a piece of paper or a handheld device. They will ship the product. The shipment confirmation takes place automatically out of, in this case, I'm showing XA, and ultimately you'll see at the shipment level the detail, which will show you both the actual cost and, based upon this order, what we expect to bill the customer. And these are sitting in the ERP files, in the shipment files. So if we take a look at the details of the shipment, you can see when we close the loop, the actual cost and the billable cost. Special charges, there they are. Actual cost, $175.70, billable cost, $202.05, based upon our rules. And when the invoice is created for that particular customer, that $202.05 is what's automatically billed to the customer. There is a rule setting within our tool that says, also, do you want to bill your customer what you quoted, or do you want to bill your customer as a default what you calculate? As I mentioned, to close the loop, if you receive a freight bill, we have a match pay tool, whether you receive that bill hard copy or electronically, which will audit the bill, approve the bill, and relieve that bill from the accrual file and move it to the AP system, which will reduce a lot of AP entry. And we have interfaces to AM, IFM, and eFinancials. So it's a streamlined process. Many companies also use third-party freight pay companies. We happen to offer a similar service. So if you opt to outsource that, we will keep all of these files in balance for you, but receive those freight bills from the carriers on your behalf and deal with the carriers when it comes to aging of potential balance due bills. Here's an example of what we call our open accrual file. Each line item here representing a particular shipment that is left one of, or been shipped inbound to you, the date it was shipped, the pro number, which we can assign, the date it's expected to be delivered, and the amount that you expect to pay the carrier. The billable amount is also stored in the file, as are other pieces of information. From that file, you can do real-time tracking. We can update the delivery date automatically. Our customers use this often to be proactive and to track potentially late shipments, what we call the late and undelivered status, so they can be proactive with their customers. And another differentiator is after a shipment goes out the door, we take the total charges, in this case, you see up top, $24.71, and allocate it across your stops, across your orders, which you see in red, across your line items. So if it's important for you to determine the transportation component of the cost of goods sold at the line item level, that's all stored. And when the data is there, it's shared with your ERP reporting tools, but we also have a portal dashboard, which has dozens of graphs, pie charts, out-of-the-box reports, build your own reports as well. All the data can be sorted to your needs, yearly comparison reports, division by division reports, etc. So that is our flagship product. Some of the other modules that I described, if you look at the orange right here, you'll see that I've interjected what I call a domestic document piece. That is a module which is independent of the Calculate module, or can be used in conjunction with or separately from. It creates, consolidates bills and creates documentation which are definitively more robust than is typically out of the box of your ERP and even a WMS shipping system. You'll see another box I've added on the left-hand side, which is in green, which is a parcel label box. As I mentioned earlier, the parcel rates are stored in the rate engine, but ultimately, if you opt to ship something via one of the parcel carriers, UPS or FedEx within the United States being the most popular, you're going to need labels for each carton. And you can utilize the carrier-provided label systems, another third-party system, or our manifest system, which will produce that, tie in with your ERP, automatically do doc spot confirmation for you. It will reduce data entry because we have a built-in interface. Again, many companies have warehouse management systems, and I showed this graphic just to import upon potential users that a TMS is not always, most importantly, connected to a warehouse management tool. If you see all the different lines between what is the TMS, which is outside that straight order flow, there are more connections, potential connections, that are outside what goes on in the WMS than there are internally. So a WMS can be utilized with our tools or not. We have a more robust freight order consolidation tool, which will, if you look at here, consolidate multiple orders going to the same customer and then consolidate multiple customers together onto multi-stops or pooled distributions. And sometimes it is more cost advantageous to consolidate multiple orders going to different customers onto single trucks. It's a pretty complicated, complex set of calculations that goes on in order to recommend those types of things. And we connect directly with the carriers. Freight rates can be stored in our database or can be accessed in real time from the carriers. You can call up the carriers to tender loads, or you can hit buttons and have the carriers contacted electronically to inform them that there's a pickup. And you can track loads and you can get carrier documentation, proof of deliveries, and the like. Another module we offer is export documentation. It's got an interface to XA, if you're an XA customer, to pull the data in and to produce lots of different documents, all in one area. And we also have some efficiencies when it comes to controlling your inbound freight, which isn't always easy. Whether it is raw materials from one of your vendors or it's a return good. And your customers, if it's a return good, or your vendors, if it's coming inbound, would have a link to the portal to look at all of their POs, and they could fill out a packing list. And your preferred carrier would automatically be contacted when they tendered the load. In summary, again, the 30-minute high level, these are many of the features that we offer. Most of these sold on Infor paper. The installation is one of the beauties of the tool. More than 9 out of 10 times we do the install remotely in your test libraries, test system. Takes about a week from the time we get a signed contract to the time that we've got a video showing orders going through your test environment, through that whole cycle. So the effort of your IT support people is reduced as a result. Again, most of the product is on Infor paper. As such, they will provide level 1 support. We have Infor product on our paper, on our machine, so that we can maintain the development of the interfaces. We do not user-base our pricing. We've been a partner of Infor for over 30 years, and the integrations are very mature. Finally, for those of you who are interested, everybody has to justify whatever tool that they may look to implement. And one of the offerings at no charge to prospects is, if you get us some data, we'll run it through our tools. We'll demonstrate our product with your data. We will take your history. We will do what ifs to help you build the case. So in short order, that's our high level. And thank you all for attending, and thank Loring and Work Out Loud for their continued support. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody.